It's going back to the mid-1970s, I believe, because he was killed in 77, I believe. Janet Sheen saved their house while her husband was nowhere to be found. For decades, Martin Sheen seemed like the perfect family man. But behind closed doors, something dark was happening. He would tell Janet he was one place, then disappear somewhere else entirely. The family went broke. They almost lost their home. Janet worked multiple jobs just to keep the lights on while raising for kids alone. Then in 2022, Sheen revealed what he was really doing all those years. His secret nearly cost him everything that mattered. Martin Sheen was born on August 3, 1940 in Dayton, Ohio. But his arrival wasn't normal. Doctors had to pull him out with forceps, and that crushed his left arm. His shoulder bones broke. His arm ended up 3 inches shorter than the other. And he was left with a condition called Herb's palsy. It limited how much he could move that arm for the rest of his life. One of his eyes also got pushed higher than the other because of the damage. But instead of hiding it, he made it part of his acting. That slight limp, those movements, even the way he flipped his jacket in the West Wing, they all came from that early trauma. And oddly enough, it made him stand out. In Hollywood, his parents were both immigrants. His father, Francisco S., came from Spain, but at first America didn't want him. Because of anti-Spanish feelings after the Spanish-American War, they turned him away. So he went to Cuba and worked in sugarcane fields for years. When he tried again, he lied and said he was Cuban, and that finally got him into the U.S. He settled in Dayton, where he met Marion Fellon. She had come from Ireland, from a town called Borrisane. Her brother Michael had fought in the Irish Civil War with the anti-treaty IRA and was locked up in Dublin's Kilmum jail. Martin grew up with that history of rebellion on both sides. His parents had 12 kids, but 2 died as babies. That left 10 children growing up in one tiny house with just 3 bedrooms. Life was hard. Francisco worked at the National Cash Register Company as a factory inspector. But money was always short. Then when Martin was only 10 years old in 1951, tragedy hit. His mother died at just 48. With 10 children and barely enough income, there was talk of sending the kids to different orphanages. But the Holy Trinity Catholic Church stepped in. Thanks to them, the family stayed together. Around the same time, Martin got sick with polio and had to stay in bed for nearly a year. The family couldn't afford it, but they had no choice. To help out, Martin started working as a golf caddy at age 9. He walked 4 miles to the club carrying heavy bags for $1.75 each. The job exposed him to the ugly side of wealth. Rich golfers cursed, made racist jokes, and often asked caddies to cheat for them. Just 9 years old, Martin had seen enough. He gathered the other caddies and started a strike. Some reports say he was 14. Others say younger. But either way, it happened in 1954. They chose Ladies' Day knowing the club would be full. The women had to carry their own bags while the boys stood aside. It only lasted 3 days, but it made a point. Martin was fired, but he was later brought back. Members specifically asked for him. That early act of standing up for what's right stayed with him forever. By his teens, Martin was both rebellious and gifted. He was smart but didn't care much for school. He missed most of his senior year at Chaminade High, and even got arrested for marijuana and credit card fraud. Still, he was the star pitcher on the baseball team and got a scholarship offer from the University of Kansas. But he didn't want that life. His father wanted him to go to the University of Dayton. Instead, Martin threw the entrance test on purpose. He didn't just fail. It was deliberate. He wanted to be an actor. Decades later, in 2015, the same university gave him an honorary degree. It was emotional. In a way, it finally gave his father the dream he never got to see fulfilled. To chase his dream, Martin took on odd jobs. He saved every dollar. Eventually, he convinced a Catholic priest to loan him money so he could go to New York. He got there in the late 1950s with barely anything but a fierce drive. He joined the Living Theater and spent 2 years there. His first professional acting role came in 1961 with the play The Connection. He played a heroin addict and got paid just $25 a week, but the role got noticed. He was living off clerk jobs during the day and acting at night. The play later moved to London, giving him his first taste of international attention. In 1963, things took a dark turn. He tried out for West Side Story on Broadway. He didn't get it, not because he wasn't good, but because of how he looked. They said he didn't fit the part, even though the show was about Puerto Ricans. That rejection crushed him. He had no money, no home, and ended up sleeping on subway trains in New York just to stay warm. Still, he managed to land a role in a sci-fi TV show called The Outer Limits that same year. That small win kept him going. In 1964, he got his first major TV role in The Defenders. He acted opposite George C. Scott, but the experience wasn't smooth. Martin clashed with the director. He didn't like the script changes and argued that they hurt the character's message. The arguments got so heated that people thought he might be fired or even blacklisted from TV. But he stayed on in that same year. He made his Broadway debut in Never Live Over a Pretzel Factory. Then came the big one. In 1964, he starred in The Subject Was Roses on Broadway. Critics loved it. The play ran for 738 performances. But on opening night he was terrified. He had barely rehearsed. At one point he even forgot his lines and panicked. He thought about walking off the stage but somehow pulled through. The show's success earned him a Tony nomination, and when it was made into a movie in 1968, he reprised his role and got a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor. In 1965 he landed a role on the popular TV show As the World Turns. 4 or 5 years from 1965 to 1970 he played Jack Davis. It wasn't just a job. It was stability during a time of struggle. Every day he memorized huge amounts of lines and worked long, 12-hour days just to keep the character alive. His role wasn't simple either. He played a medical researcher working on a youth serum, who also claimed to be someone named James Stenbeck who had supposedly died. That kind of twist made his character unforgettable. More importantly, millions of viewers across America saw him on their screens every week. That kind of daily exposure slowly turned Martin Sheen into a familiar face and a dependable actor. 2 years before that job ended in 1967, he stepped into the world of film for the very first time. The movie was The Incident, and it was anything but gentle. Sheen played one of 2 young criminals terrorizing people on a New York subway. The film was made with just over $1 million, and the story was harsh. His character beat an old man unconscious for $8 and showed no guilt while tormenting the passengers. Sheen's eyes, his tone, his stillness. It was terrifying. What made it worse was how